The moment was electric before a single word was spoken. The crowd, packed shoulder to shoulder in the old Washington Conference Hall, fell into a heavy silence as Karoline Leavitt took the stage. The usual noise, shuffling feet, scattered coughs, the hum of side conversations vanished like mist at dawn. Only the soft buzz of cameras and a few flickers of flashbulbs remained, capturing the gravity of what was about to unfold. No one could have predicted how quickly the tension would shift into a political earthquake. It wasn't supposed to be like this. The event, titled The Future of American Voices, was meant to be a respectful panel discussion between young leaders from both sides of the aisle. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, already a cultural icon on the progressive left, was invited as a keynote speaker. Karoline Leavitt, a rising firebrand conservative and former Trump White House staffer, had been a late addition, controversial. Yes, but not expected to make waves. But Karoline had other plans. From the moment she stepped up to the mic, her eyes locked onto AOC, sitting at the panel table. But alert. Karoline's voice didn't crack. It didn't stutter. She began slow, deliberate. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, you talk often about being a voice for the working class. I respect that. I too grew up in a middle-class family in New Hampshire. I worked hard. I cleaned tables in high school and paid my own way through college. But where I come from, we don't pretend that government dependency is empowerment. We don't romanticize struggle, we fight like hell to overcome it. A murmur rolled through the audience like distant thunder. AOC's face didn't twitch. She leaned forward, waiting. Karoline continued, her voice growing bolder with every word. You've said America is rooted in oppression. I say America is rooted in resilience. I say it gave a first-generation Cuban American like my best friend Miguel the chance to start a business and employ 20 people in his community. You want to dismantle the system that made that possible. Why? And just like that, the room froze. AOC began to respond, measured at first, citing systems of inequality and the need for radical change. She gestured toward the crowd, reminding them of institutional injustice, of the stories she's heard in the Bronx, of the people whose voices are never heard in rooms like this. But Karoline didn't flinch. She waited, silent, her expression unreadable. Then, with devastating calm, she stepped back up. You claim to fight for the little guy. But when you support open borders, who suffers first? The working poor. When you push for reckless spending, who pays the price? Not you, not me. My friend Angela does. She's a single mom of 3 in Ohio, working 2 jobs just to make rent. And her grocery bill has doubled since your policies took root. The silence deepened. AOC blinked. The crowd stared. Karoline pressed on. You've built a brand on empathy, but empathy without accountability is just performance. And here's the truth. Real leadership means standing up for people, even when it's not trending on Twitter, even when it gets you booed on CNN, even when it means saying hard truths instead of easy slogans. AOC leaned back, visibly absorbing the blow. What no one expected, what changed, the entire tone of the room was what came next. Karoline's voice softened. I'm not here to tear you down, Congresswoman. I'm here to challenge you, because our country is breaking, and it doesn't need more celebrities. It needs fighters. It needs builders. And if we can't even admit that our policies have consequences, real, human consequences, then we've already lost. For a moment, time stopped. The camera panned to the audience. One woman dabbed her eyes. A man with folded arms slowly nodded. Even AOC seemed taken aback, not angry, not defensive, but reflective. Then came the silence. Heavy, undeniable. The kind of silence that only happens when truth has been spoken, and everyone in the room feels it. The moderator hesitated to speak, unsure how to proceed. AOC eventually responded, composed but clearly moved. She offered a cautious agreement on needing to examine outcomes more closely. She didn't concede, but she didn't deflect either. After the panel, as people poured out into the buzzing hallway, something was different. Not just in the crowd, but in the tone of the coverage that followed. Headlines were stunned. Analysts called it one of the most direct and substantive challenges AOC has faced in a public forum. Even some on the left quietly admitted Karoline had landed a blow not with anger, but with clarity. But the real victory wasn't in humiliating anyone. It wasn't about political points or viral moments. It was in the message. Because what Karoline Leavitt did that night wasn't about scoring a headline. It was about standing up and refusing to let narrative replace reality. It was about telling the truth, even when it was hard, even when it was unpopular, even when she stood alone. And for the first time in a long time, the room blue, red, undecided, wasn't arguing. It was listening. That's what courage sounds like. And sometimes, courage speaks loudest in silence.